I didn't know how to do this. I don't know. You gotta be brave, mate. You gotta be brave, mate. Come on, man. You gotta do this. You gotta survive the war. Why is there a war? Why is there a war? Why are people killing each other and their brothers and their sisters over religious differentials if the religion is love? It makes no sense in the space-time continuum. Oh, heavens to Betsy, as Grandpa would say, who bashed the Nazis as well. Oh gosh, war seems to be a repeating ephemeral field in tribal circuits of ignorance. What can I do to make the world a better place and save everybody, including little babies? I know. First I'll put this down. Wait, what if I'm attacked by someone with one of these and he's actually psychotic as well? But not as dangerous, but more dangerous. Shit, screwed that up, didn't I? Oh no, here we go. Uh-oh, shit. No, I'm going to put this down. Put it down, and I think, now this can't be the way out, the way in and out of war. Because if you've got one of them, chances are you could end up shot, right? So, or having to shoot someone. Both are pretty bad. That's what's bad about those awesome looking props. That the real version only have two primary functions, both of which are fairly destructive and hateful. Albeit great fun in the paintball and airsoft scenario. However, we have come to another situation, and I had a good solution. See this, I honestly think these are more powerful than Uzis. Now I know if you're being attacked by people with guns and they're shooting you up, then well, that's just a desperately sorry situation. And we want to try and avoid that by any means necessary. By any means necessary. And that might involve a paintbrush. Or even a black marker. And you would be amazed at what you can do with art and the power of that within and therein. To be precise in what I am trying to elucidate. Never mind. In order to avoid any conflict with tossers, one must be noble, wise, virtuous, gracious, intelligent, disciplined, reasonable, considerate, thoughtful, and highly fucking lethal if it gets really serious. But we can't really easily do that because we are the non-lethals. Yes, you might have heard of us. We were created in America, I think during the Vietnamese time of the war, and they weren't complete they were pacifists in the war effort, you see, and they were usually given non-secure secretarial jobs and stuff like that. However, some non-lethals were taken to be trained in a variety of supernatural techniques, shall we say, such as looking at the paranormal and how to create super elite Jedi warriors. And I've said about that for the moment, the better. For me personally, I would reveal too much of my history, power of the Force, and the knowledge that I wield therein of power and the Lord. Now, if you really want to know your crumbs, I suggest researching religion. And then you may find the Lord. Oh, I'm getting bored now. I think I have said my piece, I think. But what have we really achieved, and what have I derived that as being a solution? Have I found a solution yet to the threat of war? Well, I don't know. I mean, you tell me. I'm trying my best. I don't want to kill anyone. I've even met Russians in my time and they were nice too. I can't speak for all of them. I met one yesterday. And he's a criminal actually, but what am I going to do? He's massive. I'm not going to arrest him. I'm not an official cop. Right? I'm going to go, oh, you're under arrest. Citizen's arrest, mate, you big Russian crim. And he'll go, oh, you're so bad. Well, that was a bad day out, but actually we got on quite well. I gave him a fag. Well, I hope I don't see him again, in case he's drunk and he might get violent. Who knows? They're mentally ill, half these people out there. I'm mentally ill, apparently. And that's only because I know there's a God. Imagine telling that. I thought it was quite a rum deal. I thought it was quite a breakthrough in human consciousness and understanding the day I was haloed by God himself above, the wise, the ever-present, loving. But no, clearly, do you hear the sound of a baby crying? Baby's gone stealth. It's okay. Well, it's gone now. Not often do we hear that sound. And that's a very bad sound to hear. The sound of a baby crying, a baby in peril. And I don't like hearing those sounds. This is why I am not supporting the war effort of any nation. I'm underground, so underground I can influence the war in any nation according to my own terms of peace maintenance. Do you understand? I have friends in the bungles. Now, we're going to be very quiet and solemn for a moment as I reflect upon what should be said next. And in that, I shall consider what options we have to lay out the future as it appears to be among our dwindling tribe of Occidental liberated English party throwers. And the whites among us shall and should retract somewhat from the coastal regions by which to allow the Muslims to beautify the region in a system of architecture led by the Hindus, to beautify a community, a multicultural community. I've been out there hundreds of times, among hundreds of ethnics and all colours, shapes, sizes, whatnots. I've very rarely had a problem, and when I do, it's from ultra-chav scum of the indigenous sub-tribes of whatnot and grubbiness. And they are pitiful, and they are rogue, and they are villains of the highest order of evil, and they are not Muslims, and they are not cool, and they are not Hindu, and they are not Buddhists, and they are not Christians, and they're, oh God knows what they are, they're probably satanic, right? They're horrible, right? So we don't like them. But I do like some Muslims, and I like many Muslims I've met. Can't think of I've even met a female one who quite likes me. She probably thinks I'm a dirty infidel, worth nothing but the flames of retribution by Allah. But I like to point out that actually I'm the enlightened one since 1995, under God's, also known as Jah in the Bible. I understand Allah is the name of God in Arabic, but this is Britain. We speak English, right, based on the Judeo-Christian principles of history going way back in our culture. I don't want to learn a whole new language where I live, right? But I would like to teach you superior English dialect if you struggle with the vernacular that we wield on a daily basis. Because I do like you chummy, little friendly, spiritually aware cuties from planet whatever. Right, so let's maintain the peace, keep your peace, sit in your belly, and just let your angel wings fly. Let your angel wings fly. And just be at one, be at peace, settle. And gracious is the Lord. Gracious is the Lord above. And you see, by demonstrating this free wielding consciousness on camera, fearlessly, might I add, you might be able to adapt solutions in the mind of others, not actually being the solution yourself, but inspiring someone out there who sees my missive of concern for the threat of war, to hear it and go, oh, I've got a good idea. Right? And then he potters off and does that, and bosh, you've had causal influence at the deepest level of reality in the name of peace and love, which is the only thing I'd probably fight for. Because the enemy of peace and love is like seriously demonic creatures from hell. And, well, you're allowed to defend yourself in Christianity if you're attacked by one of those roving psychos on hard drugs or whatever they do. The nail polish of a dead rhino. So there we go, that's the end of that symposium. So I trust that you've learnt a little thing or two about love today, and life, and peace, and wonderful things. And generally, supporting the welfare of others before the ignorance of your own self-determined assumptions of the evils of others. Because really, when it comes to God, you know, after grand system of meditation and looking within, that the evil without is a reflection of the evil within. And so if you find yourself in a world of evil, it's often because you've created this world of evil, such as certain lead politicians and members of the public wooing the masses into frenzies of discord. They're always in trouble and hateful because all they experience is trouble and hate, because that's all they foster. Do you see? So we live in different worlds within the same bracket of alternate realities, working on separate timelines, each with their own agenda and ideology. And wherever you go in the philosophy that you subscribe to will be the fates that you think about. So if you think on love and peace, you will invariably end up where love and peace doth surround itself with the kind of people that you vibe with. If you think on war and evil and hatred, you'll end up creating discord and violence and horrible issue of illness among men. And this is standard and obvious and basic psychology that goes back historically years. And if you can't handle the frying pan, get out of the fire. Said that completely wrong. I never did like that phrase. The point is, I don't think it's very sensible in Great Britain to want for conflict when I live in Great Britain and I live in a fairly multicultural area and I have no problem yet with anyone apart from a couple, and they're not the invaders. They're weirdos from planet hell as far as I can determine. So, the trick is far more complicated in salvation than people would make you consider it thus. It's far more deep and profound than the causal ramifications of the complexities of day-to-day interaction with matter and emotion. Emotion meets matter, contract happens, conflict, drama, experience, action, right? So if you want peace, be at peace within, and you will foster peace. It's a lovely thing. And you know, people from all cultures like me, and I like them, and I will not be their enemy, however much I'm forced into killing them, unless they personally hurt me and my loved ones, which would be very disagreeable. And even then, I'm so, well, what would be the word? Some might say weak. I don't think it's weak to refuse to kill a human being as a believer in God, you see. I think that's doing my best to obey the law of God, and that's a severe law. That's a severe law. It's not like stealing a Twix from John Menzies. Some people equate that all sin is sin, but I disagree for certain biblical reasons that I can't be bothered to go into now. However, I think violence and evil is absolutely wicked, and to conjure it is a very a political hot potato at the moment, especially with regard to Hollywood-influenced filmmaking. And thus, as a filmmaker, I like to try and find solutions which are much more amusing, colourful, imaginative, creative, lovely and twee than necessarily create uber darkness from planet Narsi with all sorts of vile, hideous imagery of torture and malforming of the human form into a state of pain, which is not my idea of happy cricket. Neighbours being cancelled after 40 years again is really sad. And I haven't watched it in a long time, but it was like Grandpa. It's like, you know, you didn't always see him, but you're glad he was there, right? Or your parents, well, if you've got good parents, I do. And so that's a shame, isn't it? I think Neighbours is the testament of a generation's love, actually, from Australia. And they made fine early afternoon programming. So well done. And we all have Kylie Minogue to our benefit because of this. So that's enough from me, because I'm probably running out of time. And I know I do go on too much when I'm having a laugh. But I wish I was funnier. That would be better at having a laugh. But maybe I'm not that funny, and I'm not that serious. I'm a kind of middleman between humour and severity, And religion, I suppose, believing in God, that's what I mean. I'm not going to hack anyone's head off for adultery, don't worry about that. I'm not a Muslim, mate. But there we go. You've got to love your enemy. And they're not even my enemy. Just because they've got different rules doesn't mean they're my enemy. I wouldn't get on with them in nature, in reality, so easily if they were my enemy. My enemy is a bloke in Guildford, right? And he's white, and he's a bastard. Apart from that, it's all good in the hood. And I don't want to ruin the hood if it's good in the hood. Who would? I live in the wood, and the wood is the hood. So that's enough from me. I think I've talked too much already. But I hope, remember, the bionic superpowers you have laden within can be wielded to adjust time to your own betterment when you have harnessing and control of your consciousness under God on the way in faith. Welcome, and look after your conscience.